Multiple fires in the state of California have claimed the lives of dozens of people. In fact, there have been 3 major fires: the Camp Fire, Woolsey Fire, and Hill Fire. And 31 people have already been reported dead, and more than 200 individuals are missing. This has been a completely tragic weekend in the state of California, and one of the bigger fires, Woolsey, is nowhere near contained. The Camp Fire in Butte County is actually considered to be the most destructive wildfire in California history, tearing through 100,000 acres and killing 29 people and destroying more than 6,700 structures thus far. And when it comes to the Woolsey and Hill fires in Southern California, they've burned more than 85,000 acres, including in the town of Malibu, and claimed at least 2 lives and forced the evacuation of more than 250,000 people. What would a real leader do in this case? Offer support, funding, do whatever he or she can to help out the firefighters in the state, but not Trump. Trump makes everything political, and since the state of California has not been supportive of the president or his ridiculous policies, he decided to take to Twitter, as people are dying, by the way, to say the following: "There's no reason for these massive, deadly, and costly forest fires in California, except that forest management is so poor. Billions of dollars are given each year with so many lives lost, all because of gross mismanagement of the forests. Remedy now or no more Fed payments." First of all, that type of tweet, even if it were true, is a hideous thing to put out there, especially while people are dealing with the devastation of these fires, the loss of lives, the loss of homes, properties. But nothing he wrote there was even true, because guess who manages the forests in the state of California? The federal government, not the state, the federal government. So I'm gonna give you more details on that in just a minute, but first I want you to hear from actual firefighters in the state. Now, the California Professional Firefighters President, Brian Rice, was on MSNBC, and here's what he had to say in response to Trump's tweet.
And the statement that the president made, it was ill-timed. The loss of life, I'm very concerned. In Paradise, there's over 228 people missing. I think they've confirmed right now 28 dead. I've heard the number at 31 today. They have forensic teams, at least 10 of them in the area looking. I've been in the town of Paradise. It is a ghost town.
So this is also what frustrates me about the media. And I'll tell you why. So people pointed out that it was an insensitive thing to do, to send that tweet as the firefighters are going in. And the firefighters, as you partly saw there, have been very, very clear. The International Association of Firefighters president called it reckless and insulting. California professional firefighters said it was ill-informed, ill-timed, and demeaning, and it goes on and on. But what's frustrating to me is that I read a lot of these headlines over the weekend, and I didn't have a chance to dive into it until today before the show. And I didn't get a sense of what the reality was until I read well into my 3rd article. Oh, California doesn't run the forests in California, the federal government does, the overwhelming majority of it. By the way, the 1/3 is also owned by private interests. So the percentage run by the state of California is incredibly low. So the correct headline should have been, Donald Trump insults himself by saying that it's been terrible forest management.
That would be an accurate headline. That would be a powerful headline, but the reporters don't want to do it. Going back to your point, that you've repeated multiple times on this show, they're so afraid of the crybaby Republicans and Trump supporters who think somehow that the media is against them because they have the audacity to report the truth about what's really going on. And so 60% of the forests in the state of California are managed by the federal government, and then 1/3 of the forests are being managed by private interests, as Cenk correctly mentioned. But is that really the heart of what's going on with these wildfires in the state of California? No, of course not. We all know it. Trump knows it. What's really going on is that we've had record high temperatures, record droughts in the state of California. We're dealing with a lack of FEMA funding. That's another issue here, but that's to deal with the devastation after the fact. The real problem is climate change, okay? okay? So if he wants to make it political, let's make it political. We're having higher temperatures, drier weather, and record droughts. That is exacerbating the issue of wildfires in the state of California. But do you think Trump cares? Do you think that his corporate buddies care? No, there's profit to be made. There's money to be made. We got to make sure that we protect the fossil fuel industry and do absolutely nothing about climate change.
So look, all of it is frustrating. So then on Saturday, because he got a lot of heat, he came out and was like, "Oh yeah, sure. Our hearts are with those affected by the fires." I'm not even convinced he wrote that part of it, but this part I am convinced he wrote. He then couldn't help himself, so he added, "With proper forest management, we can stop the devastation constantly going on in California. Get smart." But no, you manage the forest in California. You get smart, you idiot, you stupid dumbass. You're going around saying, "Oh, forest management's a real problem." You manage the forest in California. You do, you dumbass. How much clearer do I have to be than this? And he's like, "Oh no, you gotta get smart, California, in managing the forest." God, and everybody who's a supporter of Donald Trump, you're so deeply embarrassing. This moron that didn't check after the first tweet, he didn't check after the second tweet, that it's actually his job to manage the forest. Nope, didn't bother to check. And then he writes at the end, "Get smart." And imagine if a Democratic president, while firefighters were risking their lives, blamed the firefighters. Okay, what would Fox News say? How dare he, right? When Trump does it, oh, bravo, it was probably the firefighters' fault, the forest management's fault. Well, the forest management that isn't the state of California's, but who cares? It's a blue state, they didn't vote for us, let them die. That's basically what he's telling you.
Do you know how many firefighters support the Republican Party in the state of California?
Yeah.
I really hope they rethink their political identity after the president of the United States, a Republican, placed the blame on them as they're risking their lives to save Californians from these fires. There are more than 200 people missing right now in the state because of these fires. There were people found charred in their cars, charred in their homes. And this clown thinks that it's a good idea to go on Twitter and make it political because the people of California aren't brain dead enough to support him as a state.
So 31 dead, 228 missing. And he tells the firefighters, go risk your lives, and after you come out of the fire, if you're still alive, I'm gonna cut your funding. That's who Donald Trump is. He's a monster through and through. Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.